Voices echoed in her mind, whispers of thoughts, longings, inner dialogues. At this time of day, the voices settled to a simmer, which was always when someone would come to collect her for tests. It was when she could focus more. But as time went on, her eyes opened to the tiled ceiling. Perhaps they were testing the other one. 11. Or perhaps testing out the upgraded tank maid. She heard one of the doctors thinking about it. But what surprised her most was the sirens going off and her door swinging open. Was this a test? No. No one seemed to be paying attention to her. It was all fuzzy with the siren blaring, but something happened below. Visions flashed in her mind of a gaping hole in the wall. A cold shiver ran down her spine just before she stood. Her feet moved on their own. She knew the hallways had a map carved in her mind from snippets of all the other people in the building. Normally they put a collar on her to try and stop her from snooping, but in the end, it doesn't really work. Time was running out. They were fixing the power supply. One locked door stood in her way, which wasn't locked due to the power. It started to get cold the closer she got to the main doors. People were huddling in offices trying to work out what happened. With some hesitation about what would happen if she opened the double doors, she pushed through. The breeze was cold and it was dark out. Not that she had seen much of the outside world herself, but she knew everything she could about it. Her head turned. They knew she was gone. Footsteps followed. She had to run. The forest was dense and darker the further she sprinted from the building, until when finally stopping, it was silent. There was no plan. These clothes weren't the best to blend in, but that didn't matter. For once her mind was so fogged by floods of thoughts of her own that the voices went faint. Now, hearing her labored breathing and iron in her mouth, it was time to slow down. She would need to keep moving until she knew they couldn't find her, which would take a long time on foot. Her feet began to drag the longer she walked. At some point, she went across a road, but didn't pay any mind to it. They would find her if she stayed there. But the other girl was more important. They would be looking for her. 11 was stronger and even fought him, the original. It was in Dr. Brennan's mind often. In fact, it was all he could think about, a recreation. But she had a strong mind. She could read thoughts without trying, and made people see things if she wanted. Something made a loud snap in the distance, making her jump. It wasn't human, or she would have heard some sort of inner consciousness. An animal? It was getting cold, and her toes were going numb with the unknown animal not far from her. She had to keep walking. That didn't last long, however, because her feet gave way, slipping on a rock. Hissing and slumping down at the twisted ankle, she leaned onto a tree, deciding to rest for the night, huddling herself under the robe they gave her. The first thing she woke up to was a loud bang. A storm was rolling in. The ground surrounding her was soaked, and only the small cover from the tree spared her from being drenched. Each clap made her jolt on the spot. She had never experienced the loud cracks in the sky. It was darker than before, and as the anxiety settled in, she stood, starting her run into the forest once more. Stepping on unwanted sticks and rocks that stabbed her soles, it didn't matter. It was hard to hear a thing with the thunder rumbling around her. Heart thundering, she pushed her way through the woodland, glancing back to see the snippet of light the zaps gave the forest. In her frantic state, she fell skidding along a gravel road.
Hey, are you all right?
A voice. She looked up, horrified to see a man jogging up the short distance from his van to her lying on the ground.
Do you need
His voice trailed off, seeing the clothes. It was hard to listen with the storm.
Holy shit.
She shivered in her gown on the couch. Even with a towel, her skin wet the couch below her. It was easier to hear his thoughts inside the small house.
So were you at the hospital? Or...
He also had a towel around his shoulders, drying his hair. It was curly and shoulder length.
Do you have someone I could call? Damn your feet.
She looked down. Cuts and some bruises were surrounding her feet to ankles.
I'll get some bandages.
He left.
Should I call the police? Hopper will think she's some drug addict. Before, surely something happened at the hospital.
If he called someone, then they would find her, not to mention kill whoever had her. He returned with wipes and a bandage.
Here, I could call the police.
Glancing up, she shook her head. His outstretched hands faltered while she took the items. She saw the glance to her wrist.
Numbers? Human trafficking? I'll, just see if they know.
He tripped on the carpet but quickly fixed himself. He picked up the phone and then sighed.
The phone line's down. Shit.
He turned, looking guilty, and let a long sigh pass his lips.
So I guess you can take the bed.
He walked off with a gesture few her to follow. She let the towel fall off her shoulders. When standing, her feet began to hurt, but not enough to impede her walking.
So I've got some clothes on the bed for you, dry ones. And if you need the shower...
She raised her hand, starting to take off the thin garment.
Holy fucking shit. Whoa, whoa.
He spun around, facing away while she took off the soaked clothes and changed. The pants were rather large on her. The guy peeked in little, and sure the clothes were on.
Next time, when trying on clothes, please use the bathroom. Have you had to undress in front of people before?
An unease settled through her, trying not to think about the past few years. Yes, they liked it when I changed in front of them. She heard his breathing stop.
Who?
The scientists. There was a pause while she held on to the hospital gown before he grabbed it.
And, what's the tattoo on your wrist?
My name. I'm 5. He extended his hand and she looked at it before holding it. He shook them.
I'm Eddie. Eddie Munson.